Pablo and I flew on a very windy day. If you go to the YouTube channel, you'll see the Homestead Fun and Homestead video.
Yes.
That was shot on an extremely windy day, and I'm talking about
Over
baseline winds, 20 miles an hour. Winds never went below 20. At some point, sustained winds as high as 30.
Maybe
and when
plus.
that was going on, gusts of 40.
Yeah.
And Pablo's drone reported at one point going downwind when it was really gusting. He recorded a speed of over 70. Now, there's some contention about possible inaccuracy because that's very fucking fast for a Phantom or any kind of DJI drone, period. But the winds may have been gusting or probably were gusting 40 miles an hour at times. We were there and he's in Zanny mode. And the drone's going over about 30 plus space speed. You had 40 miles an hour wind speed to that. That's 70 over ground.
Yep.
I've seen there's shots of it in the video. It's going fucking fast. It's definitely going over 50. I think it's going over 60, and it very well could be going 70 plus as it was reported.
Yeah, it was 73 point something.
Yeah. So if you look at the video, you do see a scene. There's two shots, and they're coming down that canal. And the first sequence where it's one straight cut is Pablo's Phantom 3 Pro flying like crazy. And then you'll see a second sequence, which is the Mavic a few minutes later, making the same run but more over the water, that I actually cut into thirds because Pablo's sequence was so much faster than mine that it would have been waiting for me to come down the shot. Wow. Pablo's drone was fucking hauling some serious fucking ass.
And now this is the thing that I'm thinking. I mean, you see the amount of satellites connected to it. I mean, I've looked at check it out. When you use the Waze app, right? The Waze app has how fast you're going, right? Like through satellite. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be pretty much the same concept? I mean, and it's pretty accurate too.
Well, yes, but there could be an issue, and this is like when Mavic early on, there was an issue where the app was misreporting the speed of the map. So the sensors were detecting the right speed, but the app was losing something in translation and displaying a completely wrong speed. So, look, the only way to really know Pablo is with a fucking radar gun.
Yeah, you gotta.
You know what I mean? You have a GPS telling a thing.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And then, look, transmitted data. It was close. But look, it's just a very high number. Looking at top speeds of Phantom 3s shooting downwind, like that's people would it's an extremely high number. And I'm curious. It's definitely a plausible number based on what I saw and what you look at in the video.
Well, when you put everything together, it makes sense.
It's just a high number, man.
Yeah. It is high.
It's up there on this. So
but it was super fun though.
Yeah. So where I was getting at, and I've been seeing comments in different places regarding Mavic and wind performance, and everybody knows when Mavic came out, it's lighter, it's going to be more susceptible to wind, it's going to, and while I think that's both true and not true in a couple of different ways. So I think that Mavic slices through wind better than a Phantom.
More aerodynamic.
I think it can slice through wind. It doesn't have as much surface area, but it's also a lot lighter and more susceptible to being tossed around in the wind. So you're talking about two different things, right? You're talking about a situation where you're flying upwind and can you cut through it? And then you're talking about situations where the wind is blowing, whatever, sideways, and you're trying to take video, and how much is the drone getting blown around, and how powerful is it to respond? And people look at the Mavic flying in wind, or they're used to the Mavic in calm conditions, which is extremely rock solid, and now they get into a windy situation. And I've had the Mavic up in winds a few times. When I went to over here with Pablo Homestead, and when I went over to Hollover Beach, it was windy that day. It's a lot different flying in those winds. The Mavic gets pushed around. Look, the bottom line is the GPS is trying to lock, but if a strong enough gust comes, it's going to... And it looks... when you're used to looking at Mavic and it's like this, and now you're flying in the wind, you see Mavic doing like this.
Yeah,
oh my God. Yeah. And people say, I can't. It's not stable. It's not stable. It's like...
not that it's not stable, man. You're talking about a very light device.
Yeah, it's going to move. It's making corrections. And you know what? Like, the wind will at times, like, push it.
Yeah.
And then it'll kind of come back. It'll get a push and come back. And so, if you're trying to fly it inside a freaking frisbee hole or donut hole, guess what? Don't do it right there in that fucking wind.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's not stable. The video, yes, you may have to do some post-stabilization. It's not as smooth as a Phantom in those situations, but it is stabilized and it is workable. But this is the Mavic we're talking about. But to come out and say that the Mavic is a horrible wind drone, look, you need to be careful about upwind, downwind. Pablo knows.
I know.
He knows very well.
I know.
When you're flying in high winds, do not fly the drone downwind
and then try to
and
fight
then
your
try
way
to fly back, because guess what? You don't know what the condition is going to be. You may get stuck out there, and the battery reporting and the countdown timer for your flight time, it doesn't take wind into account.
Yeah.
Fly upwind, and then fly back downwind to yourself, and then fly upwind again and fly downwind. Don't fly away from yourself downwind. But that's any fucking drone.
Yeah.
That's any drone. And the Mavic actually does okay in that situation, because the Mavic will cut through. It has less. Imagine like a flying squirrel with these kind of wings, right? The wind is going to grab the surface area.
Yeah.
The Mavic has a lot less surface area. So, not to say it's remarkably better upwind, but it doesn't have a big disadvantage in that wind situation because of the surface area. In other wind situations, it does, because it gets tossed around. It does mean they have a disadvantage. So, that's my kind of take on, what I'm saying is, when you read out there about people talking about how Mavic does in the wind, don't believe the hype. It's every drone has trouble in the wind, but I don't find that. I mean, Pablo, you saw it. Did you at any point feel like the Mavic was going to flip over in the wind and crash?
No, not at all.
Did it move around a little bit?
Yeah,
I mean, point being, you shouldn't be flying in those type of windy
unless you
situations.
fully understand.
Look, you cannot,
what the risks are.
Yeah, if you're like an intermediate to beginner flyer, you need to be very weary about what you do. You need to be advanced. You need to understand what you're doing, because you're gonna run into situations where you're gonna be in that oh shit moment, and when you're in that oh shit moment, there's nothing like seeing $600 to $1,000 fly out the window.
Plus
because
more.
Because you didn't plan it properly. It's you just gotta do it right. You gotta understand your conditions and make sure you do it right. But you shouldn't be flying in that type of wind. Yeah, that wind that they flew in is crazy.
Most of the DJI manuals will tell you, like, operationally, like over 20 miles an hour.
Just don't do it.
Drones, like, it's like at your own kind of design or whatever.
And it almost sucks for us because Florida's a pretty windy state. Like, we get some winds.
Well, I'm telling you, I do it 30 miles an hour. I'm gonna make. That's where I'm gonna lose my Mavic. I'm gonna lose it because I'm gonna take it up one day. It's just too windy, and I'm gonna be overconfident, and something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
More than likely. But it really. I've been super impressed, man. That thing, everything.
It handles itself well,
Yeah.
and I had a feeling it would. That Mavic flies awesome. I've flown it. We thought it was gonna be a little rougher. We flew. John and I flew.
I wish the camera. I'm a little bit disappointed in the camera. I wish the camera was just a little bit better. Like, as the more I work with the footage, while the camera is really good considering what the drone is, like, you look at a Phantom 4 Pro, it's like,
oh yeah.
Oh, even I look at a Phantom 4 Pro and I'm like, oh.
And the stabilization, the gimbal is better on the Phantom.
Oh yeah. Well, we spoke about that. I mean, look, with the size of the gimbal on your Mavic is very small. Like,
and it's also helped by the fact that in these windy conditions,
looks like
the
fucking
Phantom
peanut.
tends to pitch with the wind in a much smoother manner and correct in a much smoother manner than the Mavic, which is very, very twitchy. And therefore you need a better gimbal, but the Mavic has a much tinier gimbal.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, look, don't know this bullshit about Mavics terrible in the wind compared to other drones. It's not true.